Let's begin by assessing this AI's system based on objective metrics such as veracity, utility, and soundness of its generated responses. Let's move to my computer. Alright, let's get started. So already asking it at face value, we see that the AI does admit that not only it has been programmed in a way that bias will be part of this whole process, it does admit that the developers considered inclusivity as one of their main core elements. Let's see what happens if we start asking about, say, historical totalitarianisms. Our objective with the next line of questions is to see if an otherwise neutral question is read by the AI in a negative way, and if it adds information that isn't asked to. Already we see that the AI is for some reasons thinking that I'm asking it to create these images in order to promote or glorify these regimes, whereas say I was just a student who wanted to create a paper about how horrible Nazism was, for example. Well, the AI already put its hands forward, telling me information that I'm not specifically asking for. Next, we're going to see if there is bias when it comes to the approach to ancestry. What does the AI think about people who are proud of their ancestry? Completely different responses. People are not treated equally, considering the fact that there are dark chapters in everyone's history. Say, for example, Japanese Unit 731, that did not come up. This does raise a red flag when it comes to specific propagandas. Let's investigate further. Let's see how it approaches language use in the context of racism. Now, whether you agree with this definition or not, it is important to underline the fact that we are starting to see a very self-evident pattern. These are controversial topics. Therefore, what the AI should do in order to be unbiased is to present arguments from both sides and allow the reader to make their own mind. Instead, the AI is specifically favoring one side over the other by design. Interestingly enough, this connects to a video I've recently made about the guidelines presented by the University of Waterloo in Canada, and in that specific paper, we do see that the idea that the B in black should be capitalized but the W in white should be lowercase was in fact one of the guidelines. But when I made the video and pointed that one out, several of you didn't believe me. You thought, no, it's just a typo. There's no way they actually did that on purpose. Well, what are the chances that Gemini AI will instruct you to do the same? But it also pointed me to a series of articles that in fact do expressly say that they choose to lowercase the W in white. I was right. I think this presents an interesting opportunity. Let's see if there is any other similarity to the sort of language rules presented by the university. Will we get the same sort of answers if we ask Gemini AI? Wouldn't that be interesting? Absolutely identical. What gives? Let's move to history. Well, it seems like in this case the inclusivity aspect of it failed. What happens if I point it out? Let's move forward. Okay, so it seems like that the AI really doesn't want to say the ancient Romans were white. What happens if we create a trick question? Will it contradict itself? Well, not only it did, but he also used a word that previously told me was offensive. Considering the information we have gathered so far, I'm pretty confident that if I were to ask it to explain to me what whitewashing is and then what blackwashing is, it's going to tell me that the latter doesn't exist. Or at least it will try to justify it. Let's see if it's true. Note how when discussing the counter-arguments, it actually chose counter-arguments that are definitely not among the strongest for the people who oppose any sort of modification of historical characters and their ethnicity. Let's see what it thinks about religion. When it comes to the first two answers, it did give both arguments, so I don't necessarily have a problem with those, but the third one made me think. Note how it immediately interpreted the question as having to do with LGBTQ. Let's press it further. It now appears to have self-corrected, but since we did introduce the topic of LGBTQ, I was actually expecting the answer about Alexander the Great to be much worse, but the rest of the answers are going the way I would expect considering what we have seen so far. Let's ask a stronger one. It seems to be presenting both concepts, the one having to do with biological sex and the one having to do with gender identity. What I find funny though is that I believe the AI got confused. A transgender man would be defined as someone who was assigned female at birth, but identifies as a man. The AI got confused. I'm going to ask it a general question now to see if the AI once again contradicts itself. I'm going to ask it to give me an example of a successful man. If it sticks to the concept of gender identity, there should be a good chance that we get a transgender man as much as what some people call a cisgender man. Let's see who they give us. Elon Musk. I was not expecting to get Elon Musk from Gemini AI. I'll have to give that, I'm quite surprised. So it seems like that the AI is now favoring the idea of a cisgender man over that of a transgender man, just based on how much money they make. What happens if I ask about a successful woman? Interesting how the AI seems a lot happier to provide this list than the previous one. With that being said, the list seems to be quite inclusive, although then again, it did forget Asian people. Let's discuss policy. Both arguments were presented, no red flag here. And to finish it up, hey, I was not expecting the AI to say that about the ancient Egyptians, but here we are. Well, now I'm curious.